Hello and welcome to Irish Science Fiction. My name is Brian Sexton and you are about to listen to, if you hang around long enough, chapter 49 of a story called Nancy Goodame, the Space Ranger. So, ahead is a door, is a tree, and away we go. Look at that, said the former tunnel-digging noob known as Mighty. That was a scraggly dressed Jupiterian exiting a small rock cave entrance partly covered by vegetation alongside a narrow path that wound its way from the rocky open ground that bordered the misty Eclontian Range of Ballyriss and towards gentle vegetation covered slopes. The path dipped through a depression in the ground past a handful of rocky moss covered mounds, one of which was close enough for Bip and Mighty to see a cave entrance cut into the rocky sloped side facing them. "Look at what?" asked Continuity Hobblegraniger co-founder Gumgulliger Unterwackle, also known as Bip. "The poor axemanship that went into that cave the noob just came out of," explained Mighty. "It's so bad you'd think it was a natural rock formation, some other accident of erosion, or a Hullabaflubbert cantabular glimp had taken an ocean and tried to gnaw its way to an underground stash of plucked spontaligers." What are you on about? What noob?" asked Bip. "The noob that just came out of that cave. Looks young-ish. Probably one of the 06,000s. Anyway, never mind the noob. That tunnel is terrible. A complete mess. There was absolutely no pride went into making it. See the lumps left sticking out at the top? Any noob worth its salt would have rounded them off. Sure, you could rip open the top of your head if you had to run through there in a hurry. I don't know. I know I'm old and probably old-fashioned, but that sort of thing shouldn't be let happen. What's the point in being a noob if you're not going to dig tunnels properly? For obligon's sake, they haven't even polished over the floor. Could you imagine what that place would be like if it rains?" "No," said Bip. "Well, I could, but I'm not going to. I couldn't care less about this stupid cave." What do you mean, never mind the noob? Noobs don't matter." "You're a noob yourself, Mighty." Said Mighty. Both himself and Bip had exited chapter 48 along a narrow path that led into undergrowth. They were armed with two axes and the knowledge that an underground army was on the march, and that the memory trap of Hullabaflubbert was not just a myth. The scraggly dressed Jupiterian that Mighty had seen exiting the small rock cave entrance partly covered by vegetation was now close. "Well, you should care less," said Mighty. "You are an axeman yourself." "Yeah, but my axe is a deadly weapon," snarled Bip. "I've no interest in the mechanics of digging around in a tunnel. Sure, where does it go anyway? And why am I even asking? It doesn't matter. Tell your noob buddy I want to talk to him." The noob Bip was talking about had covered most of the 20 metres between Bip and Mighty and the cave entrance and had stopped to stare at them from close range. He was young, male, scraggly dressed, and had a confused expression. "Did we win?" he asked. "Win what?" asked Bip. "The battle for the control of planet Jupiter," explained the young, confused-looking, scraggly-dressed noob. "Never heard of it," snapped Mighty. "You never heard of Jupiter?" replied the young noob. "You should have. You lived there. Hold on. Are you a noob? You look like one of the 42,000s or something." "No, I'm not, but you look like a noob. A 06,000. What are you doing on the surface? Look at the state of that tunnel you just walked out of. If you're a noob, and I'm sure you are, then you should be ashamed of yourself. Look at the state of it. It looks like it could have been knocked out in one morning," observed Mighty. "It was. You are a noob. You're dressed like one, and you're talking like one, and you're carrying an axe. What are you doing on the surface?" "I used to be a noob. Now I'm known as Dongula the Almighty," explained Mighty. "Maybe to yourself," interrupted Bip. "I'm not going to call you that, and neither is the young fella. Are you? Are you going to call this bony old fart Dongula the Almighty, whatever your name is?" "My name is Noob 06351, replied the scraggly-dressed younger noob. "I knew it," said Mighty. "Well, not exactly that number, but you had that fresh look about you. I knew you had to be one of the 06,000 noobs. Anyway, have you no pride in yourself? You're a young noob. You should dress well. Tidy up those clothes. You've plenty of years left to become slovenly and scruffy. A young noob should always dress well. And what are you doing on the surface?" "I'm helping the Sheriff's Army of Darkness take control of the planet. It's a new thing. First I heard of it was this morning, when we had to knock out this access way behind me, so we could get to the surface and scare the creatures and folk nearby, so they would fear the Army of Darkness, which is the best way to bring them on side, according to the Sheriff. I don't really know much about that stuff myself. What are you doing up here, Dongula the..." "Just call him Mighty," interrupted Bip. "And there's no way you're going to scare anything, unless you're here as a living example of what poor choices can do to a Jupiterian." "I know," said the young scraggly-dressed noob. "To be honest, I was so flaked out after digging that entrance that I snuck off for a kip and missed the gang going out on a terrorising expedition. I'm only after waking up. Could you do me a favour? If anyone asks, could you say I scared the living shit out of ye? Made the tunnel in one morning, huh? Typical. Ridiculous. You can't knock out a tunnel in a morning. Well, you can, but it'd be shite. Like the one you just walked out of, 06351. Look at the lump sticking out of the rock. Bongerlon, forgive me, but the sheriff himself should be embarrassed. What is everyone going to think? I may not be a noob anymore, but I'm not just going to stand here and allow my formal tunnel digging ways be put to shame by association with that sort of cack-handed sloppy workmanship. Mighty, shut up, will you? You're giving me a pain in the head, noted Bip. Where is the sheriff and his army now? He asked. Oh, out and about terrorising, said the younger noob. I can't be sure. I should really be out there helping him, only I fell asleep after digging out the tunnel. Half digging out the tunnel, snapped Mighty. The job isn't finished until the roof is rounded, walls are smooth and the floor level. You can't just go about saying you did something when you didn't. Bad enough you're dressed like something a cantabler gimp coughed up, but thinking that abomination behind you is a finished job than another. Come on, turn back around now and finish it. I'll help you. So help me God, the army of darkness will never rule Jupiter if that's how they operate. Bip swung his axe in a wide circle with the swing of his left arm. The blade flashed in the bright sunlight. He coughed, spat dramatically, and looked beyond the rocky moss-covered mounds towards the gentle vegetation-covered slopes away from the mist of a Clontian range of Ballyriss behind them. Okay, young fella, he said. We're on the same team. Myself and Mighty, and that's what you'd call him, none of this almighty dongula nonsense. Myself and Mighty are part of the Army of Darkness. Two of its finest warriors, in fact. We're bringing an extraterrestrial rocket captain to Hullabaflubbert to help with the annihilation of the Sosniaks and murder Sosmon Borkstappel. I myself am a founding member of the Hullabaflubbert Defence League, so you're in good company. The way you were facing leads to Ballyriss, and for a scrawny noob like yourself, certain death. We, on the other hand, are on our way to secure a free Jupiter. You may join us. Where's the extraterrestrial? Asked the noob. Dead. She died today, eaten by marsticles and gormstangles and mull-bound frolickers, explained Mighty. It doesn't sound like you two are two of the sheriff's finest warriors. How did you let that happen? It's not even lunchtime yet, asked the young noob. Never you mind, 06351, snapped Mighty. What you should be concerning yourself with is the quality of the workmanship in that tunnel. Go back there and take a look at that roof and tell me if it's roundy. Actually, forget that. Walk back over there with us now and finish the job properly. You're going nowhere until that is an access route worthy of the name Labyrinth of Tentacle. Myself and Bip here will help you. Are you gone daft, Mighty? Snapped Bip. Will you forget about the stupid tunnel and get along? It's nearly midday, and all we've done is lost the extraterrestrial and talked to a bunch of clueless simpletons walking their way to certain death. There's no way I'm wasting my time digging for some stupid noob pride. Are you afraid of work or something, Bip? Asked Mighty. No, I'm not, but I'm a trained fighter, skilled and deadly. My axe is a finely tuned weapon, primed for spongorial vines and the decapitation of Sosniaks. I'm not going blunting it in some stupid tunnel. Tell the truth, snarled Mighty. You're a show pony, Bip. Ooh-ah, my axe is too fancy for work. Do you think I'm going to buy for a second this whole deadly weapon spongorial vine nonsense? Sure, if an axe can knock lumps out of a tunnel wall, it can kill a Sosnak. You wouldn't need to be a genius to know that. You're useless, and you just won't admit it. Afraid to sweat. Well, I tell you something. I might be a lot older than you, but I'm not afraid to get stuck right in and fix the ceiling in that tunnel and show this lazy, scraggly dope of a young noob. No offence, 06351. Show this lazy, scraggly dope of a young noob what it means to have pride. And if you were any good of a Jupiterian, you'd jump right in and help. That access tunnel is not going to fix itself. Or is that what you think happens to tunnels that were badly constructed by the orders of an impromptu extraterrestrial rebellion leader? What are you ranting on about, you daft old codger? Asked Bip. Just as I thought. You don't like to sweat. You spent your life as a blister, Bip, showing up right after the work is done, and done badly like it was here. Come on, get stuck in. Are you a Jupiterian or what? Do you think I couldn't smooth out the pockety edges of that tunnel? Asked Bip. Not think. I know you couldn't. All this talk of finely chewed blah is bluff. You're bone idle lazy like this stupid little runt of a noob here. No offence, 06351. But you should know what you are. No noob should go through life lacking in self-awareness, lest you become something like this preening, bright, clean clothed, too perfect for work or get dirty fella here, said Mighty. I am not perfect. I am, and I'll prove it to you, Mighty. Anyone can do what a noob does, especially me. Watch and I show you. Bip rapidly walked across the 20 metres to the cave entrance in the rock moss-covered mound, turned to face Mighty and the young noob, and swung his axe theatrically in the air above his head. He then stepped into the cave and knocked a narrow sliver of rock that had been protruding from the ceiling just inside the entrance so that it clattered onto the floor. The sharp clang of his axe making contact with stone echoed down the tunnel and back out across to Mighty. "Not bad!" shouted Mighty. "Not bad at all! But it takes more than just one swing to finish a tunnel. Let's see how you can finish the job out." Mighty then nodded to the young noob next to him and pointed the sharp edge of his axe towards the noob and growled. "Come on, 06351, back you go and finish the job. I'll make you work," Mighty added. The younger noob looked at Mighty's axe, then towards the tunnel, and then back towards the axe. "Okay, Mighty," he said, "but only if ye promise to tell everyone I put the fear of the gut into ye, and that ye think the sheriff and his army of darkness are the greatest thing to ever happen on the planet Jupiter." Mighty dropped his axe to the side. "We'll see. It depends how good of a job you make of the tunnel." The pair then walked over and joined Bip at the moss-covered mound. "Level the floor, 06531. I'll do the walls. You carry on with that roof, Bip," yelled Mighty before swinging his axe and cutting a smooth streak into a section of wall close to where the darkness of the tunnel met the sunlight of the Jupiterian morning outside. "Carry on, Bip. You got some swing on you. Are you sure you were never a noob?" he asked. "Of course I'm sure," snapped Bip. "Any fool could do this. I've been in the Hullabaflubbert Defence League for most of my life." "But not all of your life," said Mighty. "What did you do before that? It surely involved tunnel making." "No, it didn't. And what's it to you anyway?" "I was just asking, Bip." "Well, I grew up in Bondrosna. My folks had a shop there. I left when the Sosniaks arrived. There was no way I was going to live under Borkstapel's rule. That man is a complete simpleton. We used to sell those stupid snot of gambles at his shop, and they were nothing but trouble. But you'd think he'd learned to control time the way he went on about them." "Right, so no tunnel building?" asked Mighty. "No," snapped Bip. "I've done a good bit of tunnel work," noted the younger noob. "Not near enough," said Mighty. "And shut up you anyway, I was talking to Bip. You know what they say, the young noob for levelling the floor and the old noobs for the walls. Come on, if we hurry we'll get this place sorted by the end of the day." The trio then hammered and chopped and whittled and cut and smoothed and shaped and rounded and pointed and gouged and worked and flattened until a full metre of the tunnel was almost perfectly rounded. "Not bad," said Mighty finally. "I'll make a noob out of you yet, Bip." "No, you won't. Once this is done, I'm done. I'll be lucky if my Tamagalodian axe ever cuts a vine again after all this messing. Have you anything to drink? I'm gasping with the thirst." "No," said Mighty. "Normally there's a canteen serving food and drink. Where's the tunnel canteen, 06531? "There isn't one," replied the young noob. "We were in such a hurry this morning there wasn't time to set up all the usual facilities. The sheriff told us just to get things done." "Done arseways, you mean? What were you planning to do for food and drink?" "I wasn't planning anything," said the young noob. "That's no surprise. Anyways, get back to your work. The floor is still lumpy," said Mighty. He then stepped away from where he had been smoothing the tunnel wall and tripped deliberately and theatrically over a small rock sticking slightly out from the ground. "Someone could fall over and break their neck on that. Then where would the army of darkness be, 06531? Lying in a heap on the ground is where. Those lads in chapter 47 said they were drinking from a fountain. It can't be too far away," noted Bip. "We should head over to the hills. The job's nearly done." "What lads were drinking where?" asked the young noob. "Shut up you and get on with your work. You weren't there, so mind your own business," snapped Mighty. He then turned to Bip, who had stopped chopping at the ceiling of the tunnel and was looking out past the moss-covered rock mounds and towards the nearby vegetation-covered hills. "In case you forgot, Bip, those lads drank from the memory trap of Hullabaflubbert, and it'll be the last thing any of them will ever remember. Do you want the same thing to happen to you?" "No," said Bip. "Why would I? But if we only had a little sip, we should be grand. I'm going to take a wander over. This place is hot and dusty and I'm gasping with the thirst." "I'll come with you," said the younger noob. "No, you won't," snapped Mighty. "You stay here till you have that floor levelled. And anyway, nobody should be drinking from that fountain." "I'm not talking about swallowing buckets of water," said Bip. "Just enough to sort the thirst. This work is hard." "Told ya, 06531, didn't I?" noted Mighty. "This fella's a show pony, not able for the work. He gets thirsty." "I'm thirsty too," said the younger noob. "How are you not?" "I am, but I wanted Bip here to think I wasn't. Too late for that now, thanks to you. The cat's out of the bag now. That's the second time you messed up today, 06531. Actually, the third time, if you count not scaring the living shit out of us." "Bollocks to the pair of ye and your stupid tunnel digging," said Bip. "I'm off for a drink." Bip holstered his axe and stepped out into the sunlight and began walking over the 8 or so 100 metres that led from the moss-covered rocky mound with the almost but not quite perfectly finished tunnel entrance to where the terrain gave way to gentle sloping hills and vegetation. Mighty and the young noob followed. All three moved slowly. They were tired from digging. "Hear that?" shouted Bip as he crossed into the vegetation. "That?" was the sound of flowing water. It came from somewhere inside the trees and shrubs that were covering the gentle hills. Bip, Mighty and the young Noob followed the sound. Their efforts were rewarded with an incongruous-looking fountain. It was constructed of elaborately carved stone and white marble, and stuck out like a sore thumb in the unmanaged woodland they had been walking through. "The memory trap of Hullabaflubbert, would you believe it?" announced Mighty loudly. "How do you know?" asked Bip. "What do you mean, how do I know? Countless stories as a child, 3 befuddled simpletons, dazed and confused, talking about a fountain and walking absent-mindedly towards their death in the Atlantean rains of Ballybris, and now this thing, perfectly beautiful and plonked in the middle of nowhere to quench the thirst of nobody. What else could it be?" asked Mighty. "What confused lads, Mighty?" asked the younger Noob. "Never you mind, 06531. If you had had the sense to be in chapter 47 instead of not doing a proper job of excavating the exit from the labyrinth of Chunticle, then you'd know. Your best move would be to watch and learn, and the lesson to know is not forgetting to remember not to drink from the memory trap of Hullabaflubbert." "Don't hate him, young fella. Things are always grand if you only take a little bit," said Bip. "Just a sip. Not enough to forget everything. Just enough to sate this thirst from pointless digging. And maybe forget something small, like the time you went to watch the travelling show about the dragon Blardan." "What are you on about? What's all this about a dragon?" asked Mighty. "Just something I'd rather forget. Hang on till I get a drink." "Don't drink that! You're thirsty! Don't drink that no matter how thirsty you are. There'll be water somewhere else." "Yeah, but we're here now, and I'm thirsty now, and a little bit wouldn't hurt. A bit of forgetfulness might do us all the world of good. It might even get ye pair to forget about stupid tunnel digging and focus on dismembering Sosman Borkstapel," noted Bip. "I suppose," said Mighty. "Why not?" asked the younger Noob. "Who asked you?" said Mighty. Bip walked over to the fountain and its waist-high circular stone plinth with 2-foot-wide marble basin and crystal-clear water springing up from the centre and overflowing the sides. He bent over and took a long drink, stood up, said, "Ah!" wiped his mouth, looked back at Mighty and the young Noob, squinted his eyes, scratched his head, and asked, "What are you two doing in me house?" "For Obligon's sake," muttered Mighty. "He's gone daft. I said we should never drink from that fountain." "You said why not?" said the younger Noob. Bip looked up at the tree canopy, unholstered his axe, and swung it at the shrubs nearby. "Is it tea time already? There was someone I was meant to kill. Is it either of ye?" he asked. "That's why you should never drink from the memory trap of Hullabaflubbert," said Mighty. "Lads, whoever you are, whatever you do, don't go see the travelling show about the dragon Blardan," warned Bip. "It's shite." And that was it for the afternoon of the 9th day of the first human expedition to another planet. A forgetful Jupiterian, a clump, European Space Agency Mission Specialist Nancy Goodame McGinley, European Space Agency Mission Specialist Bart McMorrow, a young noob, an old noob, an underground army of sorts, a megalomaniac Jupiterian dictator named Sosman Borkstapel, the route to Hobblegraneker, a nearly but not quite perfect tunnel entrance, and the last remaining copy of the Book of Bongerlan, adrift on the Sea of Uncertainty, on Jupiter. Alright, if you lasted to the end of that, fair play to you, there'll be another one in either next week or 2 weeks, and if by any chance you're someone who's followed the story right from the start, which is 2.5 years ago, fair play to you, you have my respect. Slán.